Hello there and welcome once again to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett, the Mayor of Oklahoma City, and this is our show for July 2012. Glad you're with us. In this first segment, we're going to talk to Geary Desjardins. Geary is the general manager of the Chesapeake Energy Arena and the Cox Convention Center. But what we're going to talk to him about today was just the impact of the NBA Finals on our city, the arena, and all of the excitement that was generated as the Thunder advanced all the way to knocking on the door of a championship. Geary, welcome to the Mayor's Magazine again.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, this had to be, I guess, a two-headed sword for you. I mean, on the one hand, it's very, very exciting to be a part of the NBA Finals. On the other hand, that's a lot of work for you and your staff.
There's a lot that goes into the finals, and you know, there's so many people that were involved in it, so many different organizations that had a hand in pulling this off. And from our end, it actually started last summer when we received the dates that we have to hold for the upcoming season for the playoffs. And so then we have to hold those dates, and it starts flowing from there. And the first meeting that we actually had with regard to the playoffs actually began in late January, first part of February, in the preparation for it. And they completely took over the building. Every inch of space that we had that was usable was used in some way, shape, or form, either by the NBA, by ESPN or TNT during the Western Conference Finals, by the Thunder, or by our staff. There wasn't 1 inch of space that wasn't used, from inside on the event level all the way into the Arena Bowl. So there's a lot of work that went into it.
You have a lot of local employees who work on game nights.
We
just
do.
To kind of supplant your regular staff and make sure that everybody's visit is as comfortable and as friendly as possible.
We do. We have roughly about 800 people on our payroll, but to make this happen, a lot of resources from the city, and city departments, from the fire department, the police department, Parks and Recreation, Public Works, the CVB had a role to play with hotels, and the impact of everybody coming in and the amount of media that was coming in to cover the event, which was astounding as to how many people were actually here. There were 500 credentialed media actually media covering the event, but there were roughly 1,800 credentialed media members that were in Oklahoma City. And this event was being broadcast to over 220 countries internationally. It was broadcast in 47 different languages, and everywhere from Cameroon to Russia.
Now, were all those play-by-play broadcasters in the arena? Where did you put them?
They were all in the arena, and what we had to do was we had to remove seats in the 300 level, completely remove the seats, physically remove them, and then build platforms and decks to put tables on. And then we had to run power, internet, and phone lines to every one of those locations, and secure the table so that it was safe, and then dress it so that it looked presentable for TV. And there were roughly 500 temporary media locations that we had to build either on the event level or all the way up to the upper level. And some of that information we didn't receive until 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. So a lot of our employees were almost working 24 hours a day, where they would work pretty much all night long, go home and get a few hours sleep literally, and then return back to complete the work that was necessary, because there were blocks of time where no one was allowed in the Arena Bowl during their practices. So trying to manage all of that was a little bit challenging. And
was there any sort of pep talk for the staff that, or was it just obvious that, hey, everybody needs to step up?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. We've been through this drill before with hosting the Big 12 tournaments and NCAA, so we're accustomed to flipping over from one event to another in a short time period. And so long as we had the information, it's in preparation for it is pretty easy to do. When I say easy, it's kind of what we do all year long. The biggest impact on this was how much auxiliary space, just temporary space, had to be built out, because we had to clear out our storage rooms to make media work areas, and all of those had to have, again, internet and phones and TV monitors, and they completely used every inch of our storage space, including space that was part of the renovation that was, we just took use of about, oh, I don't know, a month and a half ago. And we set media dining up in some of the storage rooms. ESPN had built out 3 different interview locations and studios. One was in a suite, so we had to gut the suite and built a platform and a deck in there and had to run power for that, and non-traditional spaces. So we understood what had to happen, and our staff pretty much embraced it. And took hold of it, and it was a great experience. As a matter of fact, the NBA and a lot of the officials, and we heard it both from the NBA directly and also through the Thunder, was that their experience in Oklahoma City was a little bit different than what they have normally, receive in other cities, in that a lot of times they're being told, no, we can't do this, we can't do this. And their experience in Oklahoma City was, yes, we can. And again, we somewhat embraced it, and between the Thunder staff and our staff, really made them feel welcome, and they really had a good time here.
Was the convention center used?
It was. We had to convert the Blue Line Lounge into the media credentialing office. Basically, it just completely turned over for a 24-hour-a-day operation for all of the media credentialing and for the NBA credentialing for the coverage of the finals. It was either that or the NBA was going to have to rent a trailer to put somewhere. But we ended up, our staff again got a little creative and said, this space will actually work, and it'll work well. The CVB went ahead and put a little media welcome area right outside of it, so if someone from the media didn't know exactly where to go or what to see or what to do, CVB had a little welcome area for the media right there, and it worked out pretty well.
Well, that's great. And the improvements continue. Will they all be done by the beginning of next year?
This phase of the renovation is scheduled to be completed in August, and there's one last phase to be done. So we don't have necessarily a completion date on that yet, but this phase with the new lobby, the new entrance, the new center court grill, new restaurant, the rest of Old Number 7, because Old Number 7 Club is still not 100% complete, new box office on that side, new entry up onto the club level and the upper level from that area. That'll all be completed in August.
Wonderful. Well, Geary, thanks, and good job during the playoffs.
Thank you.
All right, Geary Desjardins is the general manager of SMG. They manage the Chesapeake Energy Arena and the Cox Convention Center for the city of Oklahoma City. And I've got to say, everybody stepped up for this event. Certainly the fans did, but also the hundreds of employees that work over at the arena put their best foot forward and made everybody feel welcome that was visiting from out of town. We'll have more on the Mayor's Magazine when we get back. Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. John Geary is the manager of the animal shelter here in Oklahoma City, and he's come on to talk about how we're doing this summer. Welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you for having me.
We have made so much improvement just in the last few years in the way we take care of our animals in the city. But I think our message today is we still got ways to go, and there's still ways that people can help. But so, give us your pitch. Let me hear you talk about it, because I know what I say whenever I'm out talking publicly. I'd love to hear it from you.
Well, people don't need to understand the differences that the shelter is now. If you haven't been to the shelter in a number of years, it's a different place. We've had some renovations there, new cat areas that have just made it a much different environment to be in for the animals and for the employees that work there. So that's the first difference that we've made, and I think has attributed to some successes that we've had over the last few years. And then just the employees, the staff that we have a lot of newer staff now that have a lot of animal people that are really helping us in working towards the goals that we set for ourselves, and so the staff that we have is much better than we've had previous years as well.
I guess there's a couple of thoughts here that need to be fully disseminated to the public, and one is we really need to spay and neuter more pets, not fewer pets. And so if you own a pet, it needs to be spay or neutered, so we don't have this continuing population of animals that can increase from time to time. And that's especially challenging in some of the lower income areas.
That is correct. We've had a lot of success over the last few years. Adoptions are up, reclaims are up a little bit. We're transferring more animals to rescue groups than we ever have. But the last piece of that puzzle to kind of get us over that hump to reach our goal of having that 75% live release rate is spay neuter, and to lower the number of animals that come into the shelter. Because that's the one thing that we haven't been able to really accomplish so far. And had we been able to do that, we'd reach our goal. So spay neutering is huge. And we have a couple of programs now that people can take advantage of, especially lower income. About it. So the first one that we have what we call spay or pay. So now if your animal comes into the shelter, if you allow us to spay or neuter it prior to going home, we waive the room and board fees for you. And there's no fee to have your animal spay or neuter. We do that for free.
So if the dog catcher gets your animal and it's impounded, if you'll allow us to spay or neuter it, there'll be no fees.
There'll be no fees. We'll have a small vaccination fees that you'll have to pay, but all of the room and board and impound, we waive those. And so it makes it, and not to mention the spay or neuter surgery is free. So you're paying a very minimal fee. It's actually less than if you would have had to, if you paid just to get your animal out without getting spayed or neutered. So people could really take advantage of that if their animal does happen to end up at the shelter. We hope that they don't, but if they do, definitely take advantage of that spay or pay program. And then the last one is our newest program that City Council approved just this year, and what it is half of all of our adoption fees go towards providing spay neuter. And so now we have a hotline you can call, 316-FOOD, it's 3663. You call that number and they will get you set up, and that spay or neuter surgery is also free. And anyone, there's no income restrictions, anyone that's a resident of Oklahoma City can take advantage of that program and have their animals spayed or neutered.
And are people taking advantage of that so far?
We've been very, very busy. We're booked up every weekend. We do most of the surgeries over the weekend on Saturday and Sundays, and we stay booked. Our dogs are well in advance. We really need to get some more cats in there. We still have space usually on most weekends for some cats, but our dogs stay booked, and there's plenty of money there, so as long as money stays available, we'll continue to be able to do that, and so people really need to take advantage of it.
What comes in more frequency, dogs or cats?
We have a few more dogs that come in through the shelter than cats. It's about 60-40, real close to that anyway.
Okay. And if people want to adopt a dog or a cat, do you have all types, or are there certain types that are more likely to end up in the shelter?
Well, that's the great thing, especially about Oklahoma City. We've over the last few years, we've had a lot of national media, ASPCA, and those have came in, and that's one of the compliments that we always get is the variety that we have here in Oklahoma City. We see just about anything and everything. We have a lot of mixed breeds, but about 25% of the animals that come into the shelter are purebred dogs, and so if you're looking for a specific type of purebred, always check the shelter first. Much less expensive, and you're getting a lot more for your money as well. So I mean, definitely check the shelter first, because we get just about anything you want.
Mm-hmm. And if people are looking for a way to help, what would you suggest?
Well, definitely volunteering at the shelter. We could always use more volunteers, and this time of year, during these summer months, is our busiest time of year.
What would a volunteer do?
We have a lot of volunteer opportunities, just from coming in and walking and spending time with the dogs. A lot of people don't understand just how much that means to them. From helping to clean and feed and water and take care of the animals that we have there. We have about anywhere from 600 to 800 animals there at any given time this time of year. And then fostering is probably one of the most important things that we need more help with, where people actually take animals that are too young, puppies and kittens that are too young to be spay neutered yet, and go into the adoption program and keep them in their homes. We provide them with everything they need. They just need love and a place to stay for a few weeks, and then they can bring them back and we get them into the adoption program. But we always need more of those. We have so many puppies and kittens that are in desperate need of foster homes.
Okay. So on the internet, where should people go if they want more information on this process?
Well, our website is www.okc.gov/animal welfare.
Okay, but there's a link. If you just go to okc.gov, there's a link.
Yeah, on the left-hand side, you can also just click on adoptions. If you go to the city's main website there at www.okc.gov, and just click on adoptions on the left-hand side.
Okay. And the phone number, if people want more information that way, if they don't want to do the internet?
Right. You can contact us there at the shelter at 297-3100.
All right. John Geary, leading a great group of people at the Oklahoma City Animal Shelter. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And we have a lot of work to do in caring for animals, but I want to stress just how much better we are doing here in the last few years. The number of adoptions is going up. We have a number of private sector groups who are volunteering their time and money to help us make an even bigger impact. But we can always do better. And as John said, he'd love to have you as a volunteer. So if you're inspired in that direction, I hope you'll give them a call. We'll have more on the Mayor's Magazine right after this.
Did you buy the flashlight and the batteries?
Yes.
Did you make sure we're not missing anything in the first aid kit?
Yep.
Did you go through the plan with the kids again?
Yes.
The more you prepare today, the more you'll be able to reduce the devastating effects of a tornado, an earthquake, a power outage, or any other disaster. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Visit ready.gov.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. Jennifer Klos is an associate curator at the Oklahoma City Museum of Art, and she joins us on the Mayor's Magazine. Great to have you.
Thank you, Mayor Cornett.
This is an exciting year in your 10th anniversary of the move downtown, and you have one exhibit that our viewers can see if they're watching this in the first half of July, and if they're watching this in the second half of July, they should get ready for an additional exhibit. So with that as the preface, why don't you fill in the blanks there?
Great. Well, I know 2012 is an exciting year for the Oklahoma City Museum of Art. We are celebrating our 10th anniversary in downtown Oklahoma City. We opened in March of 2002, so over the past 10 years we've showcased a wide variety of art from many different time periods and many different media, but we decided after 10 years it was a great opportunity to rediscover the medium of glass. We opened the museum with a special exhibition of Dale Chihuly, who is a very prominent contemporary artist, glass artist, who really propelled glass into the fine art medium. So he's very important, and that exhibition opened up to such fanfare. There were, visitors the line extended around the building. So we had over 50,000 visitors come see the Dale Chihuly exhibition in the first 6 months. And so to much acclaim, we decided to purchase that exhibition as part of our permanent collection. So we've been proud to house a very comprehensive collection of Dale Chihuly. Mm-hmm. But with this exhibition, Fusion, A New Century of Glass, we decided to look at a new set of artists that are really pretty much a new generation of artists that were influenced by Dale Chihuly and these other pioneers of the American studio glass movement. But they are now looking at glass in so many new ways, and we decided with Fusion to really pick artists and pick works that are all very recent, so they're all since 2000, but they're all looking at the human condition and how we live our lives today. So there are references to the environment, technology, science, and interpersonal relationships, and so something that everyone will be able to relate to. And I think that the exhibition, it will really captivate people because of the nature. All the pieces are quite identifiable and you'll have a response to. So we're showcasing over 20 artists in that exhibition.
Wow. And how much floor space is given to Fusion?
Well, it's approximately 6,000 square feet. So that's actually one of the most challenging elements in putting together an exhibition, is how much to devote to any particular artist and how much room you are.
How many pieces came in?
Well, we have about 47 pieces, which includes not only sculptures, but some photographs and drawings as well that supplement the works. We actually have a piece that you can walk into, which is a capsule. So it's a room. It's by a contemporary artist named Andrew Erdos. And so it's a sort of a 10 by 10 foot room that you encapsulate yourself in. And we really sort of are telling everybody it's your time to step aside and take that moment out of the day to disconnect from life and take in the environments. There's a bunch of glass sculptures, hand-blown sculptures, in a completely reflective environment.
And how many trucks did it take to bring all this in?
Well, that's actually a great question. We had several shipments from across the United States and also internationally to bring in these works. And artwork in itself is very hard to ship, but it is something that we bring in specialists to do. So everything luckily arrived safely, and it was an extensive installation though. Took some time.
5 or 6 of them didn't drop off the truck and get broken in the parking lot.
I was going to say, luckily everything arrived in good condition, but it did take some time. Glass itself is ironically delicate, but also very strong in the same sense.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks for being so careful and working with all those delicate items. Okay, now let's talk about what's going to be in the second half of July, and that's, you know, for the sports enthusiasts, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
It is. So our next special exhibition this summer is the Art of Golf, and we thought what better time to showcase this exhibition in the summer, and it's sort of during the height of the golfing season, and it's going to be on view on our third floor, so Fusion will actually be going on at the same time, so you can come see both. But the Art of Golf is a really unique exhibition organized by the National Galleries of Scotland and also the High Museum in Atlanta. And it showcases over 90 works looking at the history of golf.
Now, works, what does that mean exactly?
So,
original art, or? It's
all original art, and I say works because it really encapsulates so many different things. We have paintings, some photographs, drawings, supplemental materials that will help show you the sort of the array of golf, prominent figures in the golfing sport, but also golf courses and beautiful aerial photographs of golf courses, and particularly St. Andrews. But we also will have several objects in the exhibition: antique golf balls, a golf club, a jacket, one of the winner's jackets. So some of the items that you really probably wouldn't expect.
Right. So you have a green jacket there from the Masters? Well,
so
how exciting. Can I ask whose it is?
I was going to say, that's a great question. I actually don't know it off the top of my head.
Because if it's a 44 regular, I was going to borrow it for an evening out, but go ahead.
I'd love to bring it over to you, John, but you can come see it on view.
Okay.
But we've got, so some of those elements where you're really learning about how the sport has evolved, the equipment, but also, you know, St. Andrews is the oldest course, and, you know, it originates back to the 1400s. So that for them, and in Scotland, they really do have such a core part of the history of golf. But they taken this exhibition from the beginning all the way really to the present. So you get to see how the sport evolved from a winter sport. It actually started out on ice, sort of hitting the ball back and forth as sort of a cousin to the sport of golf, and then how it evolves into actually the full golf courses and a much bigger, extensive sport.
Yeah.
And then also the history, looking at Bobby Jones and the history of golf in America. We have some famous works by American artists such as Child Hassam, and also Whistler, as well as several artists, including Warhol. So Warhol's famous portrait of Jack Nicklaus.
As I understand it, the reason that golf is 18 holes is because that's how many St. Andrews had. In fact, they originally had 22, but somewhere along the line they cut it to 18, and that became the standard just because that's when they ran out of room. But
I was going to say that's exactly right. So many of the things that we take for granted in the sport really probably originated with St. Andrews.
Absolutely. Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you for having me.
The Oklahoma City Museum of Art, celebrating its 10th year of being in downtown Oklahoma City this summer. Go by and see Fusion, A New Century of Glass, and then the Art of Golf will start in the last half of the month of July. We'll be back with more on the Mayor's Magazine right after this.
Could you stand a little fun in your life? Then look no further. The Oklahoma River Cruises tour the beautiful Oklahoma River. You can enjoy a fun-filled, family-friendly, climate-controlled adventure you won't forget, offering public cruises, exciting theme cruises, and private cruises tailored to your needs. Book your fun-filled cruise today. Log on to okrivercruises.com. Oklahoma River Cruises. Get on board.
I'm Lee Criswell with Street Maintenance. Help us while we repair your city streets. Please slow down and be alert in all work zones.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. Jeanette Smith is the director of the Bricktown Association. Welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you for having me.
Bricktown is so exciting in the summer because people from all over the country are visiting Oklahoma City, and of course one of the first places that our citizens take them is to Bricktown because we're so proud of it. So talk about Bricktown summer of 2012. What should people be excited about?
Well, there's a lot going on in Bricktown, obviously, from baseball to riding the water taxis. We also have live music in the summertime. We have a summer concert series every Thursday night, so while they're in Bricktown they can catch some live music as well. Of course, movies. There's just a lot happening in Bricktown from that standpoint. We see lots and lots of families, lots of baby strollers, and a lot of people, as you said, from out of town.
Is there a way to measure the crowds in Bricktown? Is there a way to measure whether there's more people now than there was 5 years ago, for instance?
Well, we do, you know, we do just a little bit of checking around just to see how the restaurants are trending. And then we also check vehicle counts too. So we anticipate that any given year, we see somewhere around 8 million people through Bricktown.
My gosh.
And of course that number increases during the summertime because obviously that's peak travel time and people are visiting. So there's quite a number of folks coming in.
Okay, well, a lot of people watching the show probably have friends or family coming in from other parts of the country. What should they make sure they do when they go to Bricktown? And where and maybe I should start here. Where should they park? Because, you know, a lot of people that watch this show, they don't like to come to Bricktown because there's this perception that there's just not enough parking down there.
Well, there's a lot of parking down
Thank
in
you.
Bricktown.
That's what I tell people.
Yeah, there's a lot of parking.
Lots of parking down there.
Lots and lots of parking.
Where should they park, though? It just
you know, it kind of depends on where you're going. Obviously, there's a lot of free parking in the lower Bricktown area, and I believe that they've just started a program where if you shop at one of those merchants, they have free and paid that you can get your parking, you know, stamped, and then you get your parking for free if you shop there.
So south of Bass Pro.
South of Bass Pro,
over there by the land run sculptures,
correct.
Which you need to show your out of town visitors anyway. Personal plug, and then they can walk into Bricktown.
And then they can walk anywhere they want. There's a number of other parking lots that are not very expensive, about $5. Some are $3 and $2. And then, of course, there's some parking meters, too. If you're lucky enough to grab one, those fill up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So there is plenty of parking. You just have to kind of be prepared.
Okay, so there's the ballpark, there's the canal, there's the restaurants, there's my favorite, people watching when I'm just in Bricktown. There are the bars and clubs, and really though Bricktown takes on kind of evolves through the day, and there's certainly a lot of family-friendly activities going on in the daytime and in the evenings, and then there's a night scene, after when it gets dark and 10, 11 and midnight, when I'm asleep.
Yeah.
But a lot of people I know enjoy Bricktown in those hours.
You know, there's a lot to do in Bricktown, and one of the things that is really neat, that's really growing and developing, is the local music scene. We have a lot of venues in Bricktown that support our local musicians, and so any given night when you come down there, there's usually some kind of live music happening in either a restaurant or a club, and then we help support that too with our concert series in the summertime. We do concerts every Thursday night from 7:30 to 9:30, and those are local musicians. So that's fun to watch that part of the dynamics of Bricktown evolve. And of course with the ACM at UCO there, it's only getting better, and there's some really talented folks coming through. So that's fun to watch.
And are people living in Bricktown?
Well, we hope that they will be soon. There's a new apartment complex that's getting ready to open, or actually some of the units have opened already. It's called The Level, and I think they'll be fully finished by August, and I know that they've had very, very good response from folks. And then there's a couple of other apartment developments in the works right now. So hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years, you'll see a lot more people living in the Bricktown area, and then they can, work, live, and play right in that area.
Very exciting. Well, we're very proud of Bricktown. Thanks for all your work, Jeanette, and helping to promote the area. And we need you to invite your family and friends from other parts of the country when they come to Oklahoma City. Show them around town, and make sure that they go into Bricktown and ride on the canal and see the land run sculptures and have a good time doing more than one thing. And you can really spend half a day easily in Bricktown. Jeanette, thanks for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
That's going to do it for this edition of the Mayor's Magazine. Glad you're with us. We'll be back next month with another show, and I'll see you then.
Did you know 1/3 of an average landfill is made up of packaging material? Why be part of the problem? Recycling is as easy as rinsing and throwing. No need to sort. Set out the little blue bin on your regular trash day. Now it even pays to recycle. Each week, one lucky Oklahoma City resident will win $100 just for setting out their little blue bin full of the proper recyclable materials. Be part of the solution. Start recycling today.